The first concern is under-adapting to culture. This is called ethnocentrism. The belief that one's own culture, race, or nation is superior to all others. The view that one's cultural ways of doing things is the correct and only way. The tendency to judge the behavior of people in other cultures by the values and assumptions of our own. That's the word that you can use to impress your family and friends. Ethnocentrism. That all cultures, though, are naturally that way. Historically, Charles Kraft says, Westerners, like nearly all people, have tended to treat culture like we treat the air we breathe. We simply assume its existence and ignore it. Those who have taught and written on our relationship with God have therefore usually made little or no overt reference to the cultural waters in which humans exist. In terms of comparing and contrasting Christianity and Islam, as we did last week, I don't know if you realized that Islam is actually locked in to a certain culture, Arabic culture, at a certain time in history, to a specific language. And as much as they may talk about adaptation, it is the religion and the freeze-framed culture of the period of Muhammad is actually imposed on every other culture. And you know what's interesting is that's why missiologists and theologians have called what they have called the genius of Christianity is that unlike almost any other religion, think of this as a missiological strategic concept. The genius of Christianity is that it can be incarnational and take on completely different appearances according to its culture. In other words, what I'm saying about the contrast between Islam and Christianity is that you can go anywhere in the world and go into a mosque and you will see the similarity. And it's very critical that the prayers be done the same way, that the prayers be the exact prayers, that the actual forms, shapes, practices. But I could take you to multiple churches at different nations around the world, and they would look almost completely different because of the genius of Christianity. Let that sink in. The genius of contextualization for reaching all peoples is the concept of becoming incarnational in a culture without losing what is primary in the gospel itself. And that's where the issues come up. Here, the first danger is under-adapting, and usually that includes imposing another culture. One of the common fears in the Reformed community is the imposition of a 17th century belief system and culture, and even worship practices that you enter into a freeze frame of the 17th century, and if you're not careful, very much like Islam, the goal will be the freeze frame of the 17th century imposed on all types of different peoples in the 21st century. And it's just bizarre. But yet, I think you would be shocked if you knew how commonplace it was and how it's actually rewarded. Because this is biblical Christianity. What is? Freeze frame 17th century practices. This is what worship should look like. Who says? And A troubler of Israel in this area is a man named Dr. John Frame. And he's old enough and now bold enough to say who says. And you'll see that in his book on worship. Then there's the concept of over-adapting, which is syncretism. The mixing of meanings from the respondent culture with new meanings from Scripture in such a way that the essential nature of each is lost. The contamination of Christian faith, ritual, or belief through incorporation of inappropriate cultural components. Now, let me be really clear here. Over or under adapting to culture could also be seen in categories. Over adapting is often if you posture it well, it's often in the category of legalism. Under adapting is legalism. Over adapting is often relativism. And Christianity, and please understand this, Christianity in every culture is syncretistic to some degree. Christianity in every culture has been inadequately contextualized. This is just reality. And as I said earlier, the degree to which you are able to discern what is biblical truth that transcends generations and cultures, and what is just uniquely cultural to your understanding of Christianity, the sooner that happens, the better it is. It makes you more humble in the mission as you seek to relate the gospel well. And so the goal is to challenge syncretism and to also challenge relativism and to challenge legalism, as both of them take on the form of syncretism.